witch's brew. You get your way by charming those around you. As hard as I try to run away, I can't.
Oh, honey, I am so not threatened by you. My man wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. You're just mad because I have a Chad. And last time I checked, you don't have a man. So, looks like you're the one that's panini pressed. Call a spade, honey.
Damn it to the bowels of bloody hell!
Well, the baby's up. Can you get him?
Okay. Meanwhile...
But we're doing good. Yeah, I saw a couple of videos that are circulating around that there's this rumor that Christy's taking care of Aurora, which is completely untrue. I'm watching these videos, having 4 hours of sleep, getting up every 2 hours to feed her, change her. Like, I do everything, you know.
All right, Stewie, I'm going to change your diaper now, which unfortunately means I have to touch your privates. All right, so here I come with the cloth, okay? This is not sexual. All right, I've made contact with your undercarriage. I am moving it upwards with a cupped hand. I'm looking you in the eye now. Please meet my gaze. And we're done.
That was intense.
With the exception of Ken helping, of course. Like, we take shifts, and like, if I change her, Ken will feed her. You know, we're doing the best we can as parents, and we're doing pretty good.
Damn it to the bowels of bloody hell!
Well, the baby's up. Can you get him?
Okay.
Like, I'm like, I don't ask Christy to take her and do everything, you know.
Meanwhile... No, you imbecile! That's not talc, that's paprika! Ah! Take that!
Christy is there in case I need her, but for the most part, I'm rocking it, and as they say, I'm just doing the damn thing.
Meanwhile,
I got offended, but then like we had a conversation because she was like, you know, somebody's gonna get it. Realistically, one day when y'all are out and about, somebody's gonna get a picture of the baby, and I'm like. She's like, well, you should sell it. That way, if somebody's going to make money off of it, should be you and not some rando. And I got really offended and a little upset with her over it.
Meanwhile...
Well, the baby's up. Can you get him?
Okay.
6 months later.
Peter, there's so much duty in here. I can't take it anymore. I haven't eaten in 4 days cause I just can't fit anymore in there. Help me.
Getting up every 2 hours to feed her, change her. Like, I do everything, you know.
Yeah, but I
want to hear about your dog, man. Like,
thank you.
I lose my...
Tell me why you can't do anything.
And they're like, okay, you know, my doctor's like, it's time to push. And I'm like, my eyes got so big. It moves nothing but. So having to kind of work with those sizes and different sizes and different brands too.
Blanchard is the Missouri woman who killed her mother with the help of her boyfriend after years of abuse.
Think about that.
It never crossed your mind?
No.
In June of 2015, that you figured out that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair.
Yes.
When was that?
I was watching them go live from my account. I'm trying to ask people for money.
And, you know, Dee Dee just got lost in the sauce.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You know,
in Santa Claus until I was like 23, guys. I'm not joking. Seizure disorder.
And here is her actual medical diagnosis from a doctor proving she does indeed have.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's me, of course, it's Baby Gal, broadcasting live from Baby Girl's office because I'm the best YouTube channel on the platform. Do you hear me? The best. I wish, right? I do. Maybe one day I can dream, right? Oh, you guys. Hi. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for 15 million subscribers. You're the best YouTuber ever. Oh, hey. I was just daydreaming. Wait. Let me pinch myself, make sure. Yep, back to reality. Back to reality. So today I thought that we would think outside the box. So I feel like everything just keeps getting basically like an old record being played over and over. Everybody's talking about the same dumb shit all the fucking time. Or when something new comes up, everybody's talking about it. No one's got any originality. But I want to think outside the box today. Like I said, I did a lot of research for this video. That's why I'm excited about this one too. As you know, I always get real excited about my videos. Many people, they believe Gypsy Rose when she says that she has none of the symptoms of the microdeletion. If you would just look at the poster child alone, you would see she's obviously lying. So I found some creators on TikTok that either have the microdeletion themselves or their children do, or both. And they talk about their experience with their own child. It's not just like, you know, talking about Gypsy Rose, but they're talking about the symptoms that their own children are going through. And let me tell you, the medical records obviously say that she has the microdeletion, but some people can go on in life and not even realize they have it. Like the one mom in this TikTok that I'm going to show you right now. She didn't even know she had the microdeletion until her own children had to be tested for it, and come to find out they too had it. And then she kind of looked in the mirror basically and was like, oh, I have a lot of the facial features of it. So they must have got it from me, but she couldn't directly get a test genetically on her own because of the fact that her insurance wouldn't cover it. And so she's like, it was thousands of dollars to pay for the genetic testing. So she just said, you know what? I can tell you by looking in the mirror, I got it. So we'll just leave it at that. They got it from me. But a lot of people don't realize, in the narrative that Gypsy Rose tries to portray, is that her mother gave her the microdeletion when in fact it was not her mother. And I can show you actual proof of past family members who obviously had it but didn't know. You know, and you can just tell by the facial features alone. Rod has other children that obviously have it. That's suspected. Mia. Now, this is all alleged, and I am not a doctor. Let me say that right off the bat. This is all my opinion. This is all for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. And this is not to be used against anybody. And it is not for hateful purposes at all either. So just leaving it at that. And like I said, I am not a doctor, nor am I a lawyer, anything of the sort. And it's all my opinion. This is all alleged. That being said, it's even speculated that Mia has the microdeletion herself, because it's eyes that look too close together and a bulbous nose or something like that. So watch this first TikTok where she's explaining what the microdeletion is exactly, and that she knows that she has it in common with Gypsy Rose, but that's not what her videos are supposed to be about. So don't go to her with any hate or anything like that if you do come across her TikToks. But she's explaining her experience with her 2 children that have it, and she has it as well.
My kids have the 1Q21.1 microdeletion, which is the same deletion that Gypsy Rose has. Let's talk about it. So if you're not familiar with genetics, the 1Q21.1 microdeletion is on the first chromosome, that's the 1, Q meaning the long arm of the chromosome, and the 21.1 is the section of the chromosome that is missing. The reason that my kids were looked at for a genetic condition is because we were in the NICU for just over 3 months, and the staff, geneticists especially, saw some facial features that matched with potential genetic condition. They also had feeding issues. Both my kids had feeding tubes. One of them still has his, but we've been working with feeding therapy and occupational therapy, and they are pretty much 100% by mouth now. So they did do a microarray genetics testing on my kiddos. They did find that they had the deletion. I probably have the deletion as well. 100%. Everybody keeps saying to me, hey, did you know you look like you have it too? Yes. Yep. Sure do. No, I haven't been tested because my insurance won't cover it. So the facial features that they specifically saw in my boys were small eyes close together, just like mine, and a bulbous nose, just like mine. Those facial features combined with the fact that they did have feeding issues is what led them to do the genetic testing, just to make sure there was nothing else going on, which lo and behold there is. Now how it presents for everybody is different. It's something like 70 to 80% of the people that have this deletion don't even know it. I myself didn't even know this existed until I had my kids. As far as my kids go, they are slightly behind with fine motor skills, but that's really about it, and feeding, obviously. But that's really about it, and that may be due to the deletion. That also may be due to the fact that they were born at 26 weeks. We don't know yet. We do see genetic counseling and geneticists, we see dietitians, we see nutritionists, we see neurology, developmental neurology, pediatrics, everything. If you have any questions about the deletion, how it affects my boys, how it affects me, etc., please feel free to comment. I am an open book when it comes to this stuff. However, please keep in mind that we need to be respectful. I've gotten a lot of disrespect over this whole situation. I'm not talking about Gypsy Rose. I am talking about specifically our situation. So please be mindful and respectful. But if you do have questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comments.
When you listen to the symptoms, this next TikTok, now, when you listen to all the symptoms that her children had, on top of, like, all the doctors they had to see, all of the different specialists that they had to see, just like Gypsy Rose had to do when she was young as well. Oh, and also something that I want you to keep in mind, thinking about whether or not Aurora might have been born with the microdeletion, which might be why Gypsy Rose is avoiding the subject altogether of showing her, even because she's trying to portray that she's just keeping her word with not showing her baby. No, we all know damn well that you would show your baby because you want that kind of clout. Now, you're not showing her because you don't want us to know that she has the microdeletion, because it'll be obvious in her facial features. But also, if you listen to all of these mothers that I'm going to show you, all of them will tell you that their babies were born early. So if it's true that father is Ken or whatever as she's claiming, and that she had the baby early, then that's a sign right there that the baby was born early. And it's possible it was born even earlier than that and it has been in the NICU. And then that picture right here that I'm going to show you, that Alice down the rabbit hole on YouTube here pointed out that could have been manipulated, and she showed how it could have been photoshopped and everything on a video on her channel, and you should check it out if you haven't already. Now, with that being explained and thinking about maybe the baby being born even earlier than that, or possibly have been in the NICU at the time of this photo even, could it be true that they did manipulate that photo, that they are trying to manipulate the narrative of what's really going on? Are they just trying to pull the wool over our eyes like we're stupid? I believe that's a lot of it. They just think that we must be some fucking idiots and will never investigate anything, or that none of us will put two and two together, or the puzzle pieces together to figure this shit out. It's so ridiculous. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I believe that Gypsy will not, she won't let us see her because of the fact that she feels shame about it. Well, I'm going to go over that part later where I actually have, proof of her saying that she feels bad about this whole situation. I mean, this is a lot. I believe that Gypsy just won't let us see her because of that. I mean, Gypsy is so vain that she would show Aurora in a fucking heartbeat if she didn't have it. And it's obvious that it's probably as clear as day on her face that she does have it. And it's not me trying to be mean or make fun of the way they look or anything of the sort. It's just a fact that they have these facial features or facial structures that are all similar within their group of people that have the 1Q21.1 microdeletion. If she does have it, don't be embarrassed about it. Don't feel shame about it or feel sad about it. It is what it is. Now, you're just going to have to be a good mother. And yeah, that's probably going to not be cool for you and your narrative of never having any symptoms. And then we see your daughter have all the same symptoms you had, be in and out of children's hospital, seeing specialist after specialist, just like you, and everybody will finally be able to put two and two together that you are a damn lie. And that's what you're afraid of, Gypsy. I believe that's really sick too, that you're gonna now probably put that on to your daughter when she gets older, that you're ashamed of her because she's got the microdeletion and all that did was prove your lies. Well, bitch, so fucking what? We've been trying to get mainstream media to fucking hear us and hear our explanation, but all we get looked at is as haters. We're just haters. Well, wait till they fucking see the truth. Maybe this is the shit that needs to happen. Excuse my voice, you guys. I don't know if I'm getting ill or what's going on. Now, if Aurora was born on time because you're lying about when you conceived her, that's a whole different fucking story. But Louisa explains that she knew something was wrong with her baby when she was having the failure to thrive, which is a very common symptom of the 1Q21.1 microdeletion. Her baby had failure to thrive just like Gypsy, and then her developmental delays, her sight is even affected really bad to the point of having she's got the really thick bifocals. I mean, that's her sight. She explains in the video what it's at. It's pretty bad. All of their babies that I'm going to show you are born early.
Okay, so I'm on here because I wanted to share a little bit about my daughter, Arabella. When she was born, I had no idea that she was born with a microdeletion syndrome. It's nothing that you could tell within utero right off the bat. Well, we didn't find out up until she was a year old, and she had to do blood work. So at 6 months, it came back that there was abnormalities in her blood, but we just didn't know what it was. When she was in the NICU, because she was actually born early, actually 35 plus 6, so late termy. So she was in the hospital. She didn't know how to suck from a bottle. She would just clamp on it. So the doctors thought she had a brain bleed because she didn't know how to suck from a bottle. So as I was saying, to that point, she was technically failure to thrive. I remember standing outside the doctor office just praying to God, like, God, what's wrong with my child? And my cousin had a child that passed away that had Down syndrome. And when I looked down at my child after praying, I saw my cousin's child in her, and I said, that's it, my child has a syndrome. So I walked into the doctor office and I told the pediatrician, she has a syndrome. And she looked at me like I was crazy and said, how do you know? And I said, I know, mother's intuition. So lo and behold, fast forward a year later, from wherever I left off, a year later, we find out, sure enough, she has a microdeletion syndrome, 1Q21.1. I had no idea what it was. So here I am now Googling, researching, finding a group, finding something on Facebook, finding someone who has a child with this syndrome, because it is very, very rare. They gave me this itty bitty package that basically came off of Google. So here I am thinking, okay, how are other kids affected? So for her, it's affected her developmental delays. It's affected her growth. It's affected her, her eyesight. There we go. So her eyeglasses, as you can see, they're pretty thick. Pretty thick. She is a negative 12.50 and 13.75 in one eye. So as you can see, my video is going to cut off. It's affected her a lot. And there's not that many people out there with the same syndrome. So I want to come in here and talk more about that.
Also, this next video I want to show you, her son even had the sleep apnea really freaking bad. And just like Gypsy Rose's grandpa explains, and he used to have to wake her up in the middle of the night because her little alarm would go off. This microdeletion is very rare. And Gypsy, you can lie all you want, but the symptoms are there regardless of what you say. And all of these women have children with the same microdeletion. They had to do the same doctors, specialists all over the place, but none of them are malingering and trying to make money off of it like you and your mother did. So, I mean, that's the main difference from you and them. That's it. That's basically it. Hopefully, they'll never end up having the future that you had. Hopefully, they keep their hands to them damn selves and they don't do anything stupid like your dumbass. But these moms aren't trying to exploit their children. This picture from Christy Blanchard is something that she posted on Facebook at one point. It says, lots of you guys are wanting to know if Ron and I knew she was scamming people or if Gypsy was that ill. Gypsy was a sick child since birth. Over the years, we heard stories of some of the things Dee had done to make her more sick. And it was hard to believe she would do this to her child. My husband and I kept in constant touch when they moved away to Missouri. We attempted to try to go and see them many times, but Dee always gave us the runaround. Did I know she could walk? Yes. Did I know they were scamming people? No. I only knew what Dee and I had discussed over the years. Now, this post kind of gives me a lot of questions, for one. So yes, of course, Gypsy was a sick child from birth. I mean, she had the genetic disorder, and Rod even acknowledges that in this video here.
Tests found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her functions from developing, her digestive system and her muscular system.
Here's a side-by-side photo of Gypsy and another girl who also has 1Q1 deletion syndrome. Do these symptoms sound familiar?
Muscular dystrophy. I needed glasses. I needed hearing aids. Seizure disorder.
And here is her actual medical diagnosis from a doctor proving she does indeed have 1Q1 deletion syndrome.
They had done some tests and found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her functions from developing, her digestive system and her muscular system.
Here's a side-by-side photo of Gypsy and another girl who also has 1Q1 deletion syndrome. Do these symptoms sound familiar?
muscular dystrophy.
When Gypsy was born, I mean, they had no idea it was the 1Q21.1 microdeletion. They just had eventually found out that she had some kind of genetic disorder that was causing her symptoms that she was having. So they knew that it was something along those lines. So basically, though, it was still a mystery that doctors were trying to figure out at the time. So those mothers that I showed you that all say that even now, knowing that their child has the microdeletion and what it is, and knowing what they got to do for all the symptoms and things like that, and having all of this knowledge and more research done. Whereas before, when Gypsy was finding out about it and finding out the symptoms in herself, they didn't know half of the shit they do now. So it was a whole different life back then for her and her mother when she was sick as well. And they still, I mean, even back then, even now, have to see a ton of doctors and specialists. I mean, that's obviously not something that would ever change. It's really annoying, actually, because I too have to do that with the chronic illnesses that I have. I have to constantly go to this doctor or that doctor, or blood work here or this or that. And so I can't imagine all the stuff they had to do with their own children and Gypsy herself with just having this sickness alone. I believe that things were embellished, of course, but I don't believe really that Dee Dee, I don't think at first that Dee Dee was really trying for this, but it became like opportunities presented themselves type shit. But anyways, that's besides the point I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about this over here. It's shit. I hate that when I get off track and start talking about something. Wait till a minute over here. In 2011, Gypsy was already 20 years old. So you think about it like that. So by the time they found out about and had the ability to find out about the microdeletion in 2011, she was already 20 years old. So that whole time they're trying to figure this shit out, right? To an exact T. I know you've probably already seen that clip that I showed you of Rod saying that, but like little things like that we have to keep looking back on to help us with the shit that we are finding out to prove now. You know what I mean? It just gives it that background, like looking at all the old Diddy stuff once we found out about these freak-offs, if you will, which, oh my God, I don't even want to get into no freak-off. Not over here. There's no freak-offs on my channel. I'm telling you that. They keep the freak-offs over there at the Diddy party. And he's not available right now, so put your clothes on. Yeah, he states that we knew was that it was a chromosomal disorder. Never fucking mind. Son of a bitch. And he says here that he's trying to do what he can now, which I believe that. I believe he's just kind of in the, sidelines, you know what I mean?
So, nobody knows exactly what she had. She had a chromosome disorder, yes. There are some things that can stem from that. Dee Dee told me all of her systems were failing. Her mental, her muscular, digestive. So, I believed all this stuff, okay? We tried to go see him. The week before, we were on vacation in Tennessee. We was going to slip across to Missouri and spend a few days with them. And Dee Dee went AWOL. She was gone. We came back home. So, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying what I know and where I'm at now. As a father, I'm doing the best I can, giving her the best advice. She's a grown woman. She's making these choices. I don't think they're the best choices, but I still love her, and I'm going to support her one way or the other.
Probably it teaches me not to be fucking around with just anybody over here. You're going to be making some Gypsy Roses. He had that time with Dee Dee, and he thought it was all fun and games.
Test and found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her functions from developing, her digestive system and her muscular system.
till Gypsy came along. And then he's like, son of a bitch. That's exactly what he probably said. But then he's like, no, daughter of a bitch. I fucked up. You know, he fucked up. Big time. Maybe that's his karma. Now, like I said, though, Rod's kids even show signs. His other kids show signs in their facial features. Even Mia, allegedly. Now, like, that's like I speculated before, and I was letting you know we were going to talk about it over here. Including Rod himself has some facial features. And even his mother and his grandmother. Take a look. You'll see it for yourself. I digress. And if you look at that post again on the Facebook over there by Krusty, she states, did I know that they were scamming people? She said they. Now that, come on. She didn't make a mistake there. She did that just like it flowed out. You know what I'm saying? And it came out and she said, did I know that they were scamming? You know, just flowed right out. What does that say? That tells me you knew she was involved in it and you slipped up. You always slip up. You slip up all the time when you're talking. Like I got a video here where fucking Bree slips up and says, oh, first she had a natural birth and then she had a C-section. Which one was it, bitch? Which one did she have?
Did y'all hear Gypsy's friend Bree say Gypsy had a C-section after Gypsy claims she delivered natural? Do you think they're trying to start gossip?
Gypsy didn't show her C-section score because it's private, y'all. She doesn't want to show nobody.
So they had given me Pitocin to kind of speed things up a little bit.
Right.
And then I took like a 2-hour nap. And then I wake up from my 2-hour nap. They check my cervix. I'm 10 centimeters dilated. And they're like, okay, you know, my doctor's like, it's time to push. And I'm like, my eyes got so big. Chris can't even tell you that my eyes got so big because I'm like, oh my God, here it comes.
They're a liar. They're all liars. All of them. The whole damn family of them. The only one I think that maybe doesn't lie is Rod. And I think he lies. I think he lies to Krusty. I just think that, but that's me. It's alleged. And I do think that they didn't know to some extent, that they just knew that there was some medical issues going on. I don't think they quite put, you know, because if you think about it and how like apart they were, and then he didn't have the greatest communication with Dee Dee, you know what I'm saying? And then she talked to Krusty once in a while. So all she knew was all Krusty knew was what Dee Dee was telling her to save face, I'm sure. I'm sure she wasn't telling her about all the scamming and stuff like that and but I do think that much of it was opportunity. Opportunity knocked on the door and said, hey, if you do this, you know, you get this, but don't tell nobody. They didn't, I don't think, and I think they know that Gypsy had to be in the chair once in a while, and that, yes, she could walk. I believe so, that they know, yes, she could walk. You know what I'm saying? But that sometimes she needed the chair. I don't think that they knew that Dee Dee was embellishing it the whole time and was like making her sit in it all the time and was doing that whole bit. I don't think they knew that, because they probably would have done something about it if they knew it to the full extent that it was. And it's not really an astonishing fact, like when people point out, oh, they knew. Yeah, I'm sure they did know that she could walk and that sometimes she needed the chair. That's part of what condition she had. There were times, yeah, she needed that chair. Dee Dee, like I said, probably didn't mean for it to even turn out the way that it did at first, right? And how big it actually became. And then Hurricane Katrina happened, and that's when I think really a lot of doors were opened, and she was like, hey, awesome, you know, this is what I'm doing this for. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't doctor shop. I mean, she had the same doctors just pertaining to where she lived. I mean, she stayed with the same doctors. I have some other information over here. I mean, there could have been hypochondriac activity where she was just over analyzing and jumping the gun about stuff. I believe. That's just my beliefs, but I'll get to that. So I'm kind of jumping the gun because I'm excited over here. Like I said, it seems to me that Dee Dee was an opportunist. She saw and realized how much people want to give when they have it and when your child is sick. And she just took it too far. It just went a little bit too far. Because, and I know from experience that they're like that because I had a sick child. One of my twins, he was very sick and was always in and out of children's hospital. I mean, they could have speculated that about me, but I wasn't doing anything to him. You know what I mean? His breathing was just really, really bad. And to the point, like, where we were in fucking children's hospital for 3 weeks at a time in the ICU and all that kind of stuff. And people do get very like, oh, they want to give, basically. You know, and it's very sweet and kind. It's awesome. But at the same time, you know, I can see how that might turn someone's, if they don't have much as it is, turn them to doing that. And Dee Dee was already stealing from her parents and that kind of thing. So she already had that kind of a mindset, you know, and it just went too fucking far. That's usually how it goes with criminality, though. Even with drug addiction, you start off really small and then you end up, you know, it either leads you to your grave or it leads you to jail or whatever the case, you know. I mean, you got to really take that to heart when people tell you that that happens and not go down certain roads of activities. If you're a young kid out there and you're watching this video, you better mind your business, mind your P's and Q's, walk down the right lane over here and stop being naughty because it'll pay off. And then one day you'll be going, damn, that baby girl told me I need to be a good boy or a good girl or a good they, them. That's what I'm saying. So, now that I gave you a little bit of a lecture, we'll continue. Yeah, Dee Dee probably got addicted to that, getting all that money all the time and whatever else she was getting. And she thought, you know, I'm going to continue this to the full extent. But then I believe it was coming to a halt, though, in 2015 or so, around the time of the crime. You know, she was too sick to keep it up, I believe. And it was time for Gypsy Rose to take it over. She was 23 years old in 2015. It was time for her to start doing things. But I believe wholeheartedly that she was awful to her mother in many ways.
I heard her scream once, and there was more screaming, but not like the kind in a horror film. Just like a startled scream. And she asked, who was it that was in the bedroom? And she called out to my name about 3 or 4 times. And at that point, I wanted to go help her so bad, but I was so afraid to get up. It's like my body wouldn't move. And then everything just went quiet.
Were you excited that your new life was about to begin?
I was excited, but at the same time it was overwhelming.
Did you feel a rush of joy?
There's proof of that. And with that being said, her saying that her last words were, please don't hurt me. I mean, it's obvious that she started to be very abusive and aggressive towards her mother towards the ending, as it got closer to the time of the crime, is what I'm trying to fucking say over here. Ugh. But Gypsy does claim knowing about the grift, and she knew that it was all embellished, and she knew the whole fucking 9 yards the whole time. I believe that she probably herself caught on to what was going on and just continued to keep on the act, if you will. And, you know, Dee Dee just got lost in the sauce. I mean, what are you going to do? It's like, Gypsy, you knew you were sick because, yes, you knew you had the chromosome disorder. You knew you have it. You know you didn't have some of the shit, though. Like, you knew you didn't have it. That some of the shit was extremely embellished. So you didn't stand up, per se, because, not because you didn't want your mom to go to jail. Well, it is the reason why, I guess. But then, you know, it's a little bit more permanent, like David Blanchard says.
My wife and I went and saw Gypsy in Greene County Jail because I needed some answers. And the biggest one was, why did you not say anything to anybody? All you had to do was stand up one time in public, and all this would have been different. And the only thing she could say was, the only reason I didn't say anything is because I didn't want mom to go to jail. To which my response was, well, this is a little bit more permanent than that. And she just kind of hung her head and said, I understand.
Isn't that an interesting clip? Let's break it down a little bit. She didn't stand up because she didn't want her mom to go to jail. I find that so interesting, because go to jail for what? You've said in countless interviews you really thought you had all these illnesses up until you got arrested and your lawyer told you that you didn't. You didn't know you were a cash cow. You didn't know this was a medical scam. You actually thought you had all these issues, and honestly, I think you do. But that's neither here nor there. You told David Blanchard, the next door neighbor, that you didn't stand up or ask for help because you didn't want your mother to go to jail. But unaliving her was better, right?
Here in this next video that you took her life, so what would it matter if she would have went to jail at that time? Honestly, you didn't stand up so that people could figure it out because you were in on it and you knew about it. So I mean, that would get figured out really quick. So when you two would go, and you were an adult at the time, so 2011, they discovered the answer to what you truly had. And then that's when things started to spiral downhill. Your mom started to be the one sick, and you started to be the one having to be the caretaker because you were finally getting the treatment that you were supposed to be getting for what you had, probably, or just that you had to trade roles now with your mom. By the time 2015 came along, your mom was basically at the point where she wasn't doing it anymore. Money wasn't coming in hardly anymore. And you had to find a way out, even though you claim you had no way out, even though your mom literally kicked you out, apparently. And that's why you supposedly went to Nick to go to John and had your bags packed ready and all that stuff, because you allegedly said, oh, but that's besides the point. So I'm starting to think that maybe you thought that, well, she's of no use to me anymore. She can't do much anymore, so I got to get her out of my way. I'll never fully get rid of her, so I got to, get rid of her, you know? And that's why you wouldn't just run away with anybody, because you had to get rid of her. And that's just who you are. You're antisocial personality disorder bullshit that you have going on, I believe, allegedly, and your narcissistic traits and all that shit. It all says, well, that you're an asshole. I don't know. I also believe that, maybe you didn't even really perceive Dee Dee's death as being permanent. Because, okay, and hear me out with this. The thrill, everything intrigued you. The sacrifice for your and Nick's dark sides, as you called them. The sacrifice was your mother. I believe so. Planning it all was like your cool little secret that you and Nick had together behind your mom's back. Hey, that's just my thoughts on all that, but wow, yes. Some people with 1Q21.1 microdeletion don't have the intellectual, physical, or psychiatric features of the microdeletion itself, like some of the people have. Like the mother that in the one TikTok that was explaining that she didn't even know she had it until her boys were diagnosed with it. So none of the symptoms, except for the facial features, if you will, were affecting her throughout her life. Like she didn't have the failure to thrive or the intellectual delays or anything like that. Or at least it wasn't known. As you can see in that video, though, if she passed it down to her children with herself having no symptoms at all, you can only imagine what it would be with Gypsy Rose having a child. She probably passed it on to her daughter for sure. I could put money on it if I had some money. Look at this post that Gypsy wrote. I'm struggling with emotions today. She says, the more I hear and read about my genetic condition, the more I worry. I feel like maybe I'm already a bad mom because I know I have this, but I choose to have kids anyway. I mean, I didn't know it could be passed down until recently, but it only makes me feel selfish knowing that I could be bringing a child into this world with health problems. And I hate it the way it sounds because I don't want to sound like my mother, but it's a valid concern. Okay, so Gypsy, you're full of shit. Because one thing that doctors always do, especially as you get older into your reproductive years, is if you are constantly seeing doctors and specialists, one of them is going to tell you that you should avoid or be careful when you have children because you do have a 50% chance of passing it down. You cannot tell me that with knowing that you have this microdeletion, that they didn't tell you that at some point. I'm sorry. But that's just me. Anyways, I'm going to continue. Now, there's this that tells me likely their features are a small head, which we all know Gypsy has the small head problem. Developmental delays with the aggressive behavior could even be attributed to that small head feature. And she was being mean to Dee Dee, throwing tantrums, believing in these other personalities, this dark side or whatever. It all thrilled her. It was all just a big thrill. I wholeheartedly believe that. And because of what the consequences would be, in reality, I don't believe that she cognitively really could grasp it fully.
Did you ever consider, in a public place, if you stood up out of your wheelchair and walked, Dee Dee's fraud would be completely exposed?
I honestly didn't think about that.
It never crossed your mind?
No.
So instead of planning an elaborate escape, you planned a murder?
Yes.
To be honest with you, I think that she played into that dark side and she played into this like desire to have a sacrifice. But at that moment, it was a fantasy. And I don't believe that she really, because honest to God, she believed in Santa Claus until she was fucking 23 years old.
Because like, I know growing up, I believed in Santa Claus. I was led to believe in Santa Claus until I was like 23, guys. I'm not joking. Like, nobody told me. So when he didn't pass for me when I got arrested, my little heart was broken. So it's a sore subject. So I'm like, are we gonna do the whole Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and all that stuff? And he's like, of course we are. I'm like, okay. We're gonna do it all.
I mean, if she can look at you in the eye and tell you that she believed in Santa Claus until 23, and the only reason that she stopped believing was because he didn't come to her prison cell when she went to prison. I mean, if that is true, then I wholeheartedly I would put money on the fact that at that time in her life, when she unalived her mother, she just didn't grasp the severity of the situation, to be honest. I just don't think that she did. I could be wrong, though, and you know, let me know what your points are in the comments. But let's be respectful and adults in the comments. Do you understand? I catch anybody in the comments being an asshole, and baby girl is going to be an asshole. Okay? You just have to let that be known. You're not going to come over here in my community and start being an asshole. Didn't think about what the consequences would really be in reality. And she thought she was always going to remain that sick child that always got what she wanted. But the police didn't buy into this bullshit. Thank God. Did Gypsy have all of the characteristics listed that, it's discussing in this page? Because there's also the increased probability of mental health issues and the cognitive delay as well, which is another reason why I believe that maybe she didn't grasp it very well. Her mental capacity was just not what a normal person has. I'm sorry. This page from Reddit by Redditor Agreeable Muffin 7059 or Agreeable _ Muffin, I'm sorry, 7059. It states that they will also have behavioral issues that all could be because of the parent. What parent passed it down to the child? If they are also known to have some behavioral issues, then the child has an increased risk. It states that increased frequency of behavioral issues means that children and adults should be monitored at all times. And then it states that they'll have concerns like with ADHD, which that's only if it's prone to that or whatever, or antisocial behavioral disorder seen in parents, and usually, but not in kids who inherit it, but by their parents. So maybe we should be more aware when she's posting thirst traps. Now that she's a mother herself, we need to be aware of how she is as a mother, because with that microdeletion comes a whole new set of traits from the mother to the child, the treatment between the two. We need to be more aware of these thirst traps that she's posting postpartum, of her postpartum body, instead of her journey into motherhood or whatever, I mean, that's pretty antisocial if you ask me, but her aggressiveness says it's only seen in the children with a learning disability, and then if she's cognitively delayed, then that's a learning disability. So I would say that she would have the aggressive behavior. I wholeheartedly believe that she's still delayed to this very day. Well, if she is, she'll always be, because Dee Dee even tried for guardianship for that reason, because she had to be, or she should have been, monitored all the time. But then, Dee Dee was there, and look at what she did. And I'm afraid for her child in this instance, because now those behaviors are going to be portrayed, her aggressiveness and her selfishness or antisocial behavioral disorder, all that is going to be put onto Aurora. So that's the difference there. That's why there's different traits now to look at to when you're referring to Gypsy. And then they'll have anxiety. It's seen in the parents, so it's hard. It's a trait that usually begins in the adult and is gone on to the child. Autistic-like behavior, and that's, to notice how they keep bringing up how it got a permanent disability check, so he had full-blown autism and blah, blah, blah. From other videos you hear that. She could have also had some autistic traits as well, because I don't believe that it quite sunk in with Nick Godejohn either, that this was such a permanent, serious crime that you were committing with her. It wasn't a fantasy world. It wasn't to please any deity or anything like that. What it was is you two got together in this fantasy world between the two of you, and you did something really stupid and just horrible in the meantime of your fantasy world, your little fucking dream world you guys created together. And he was receiving that check because of how severe his autism was, is basically what she's always saying. And it'll be depression as a sign, in mostly just the parents, though, that are raising children or whatever with the microdeletion. So Gypsy probably will start suffering from some sort of depression if she hasn't started already because of being postpartum. Hopefully, you know, I don't wish postpartum depression or any kind of depression on anybody. And it also states here hallucinations and then even schizophrenia. And I believe that it's mentioned to her at some point because she kept accusing Dee Dee of having schizophrenia. So I think at some point it was brought up that she could start to display symptoms of schizophrenia. And I also know firsthand about schizophrenia a little bit because my uncle suffers from schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia actually. I grew up with him, basically. So I grew up watching him and hearing all the stories about all the things that he did. And my family kind of would laugh about it. But, you know, mental health's not a joke. It's not something that we should joke about or think is funny. It's really not. It's a horrible thing to suffer through, to be honest with you. And I don't wish it on my worst enemies. So, but she used to accuse Dee Dee of having this. And they claim that their head size being so small that it has something to do with their mental health issues. And so they end up having a lot of problems with being, you know, much like probably why Manson was the way that he was. And if you think about it, Gypsy Rose and Manson kind of had the same mentality about things, you know, where they kind of went into this fantasy world and whatever. And they didn't do it, though. They aren't the ones to blame. So it's weird how that kind of is like, I guess maybe Nina might be onto something with the whole Manson thing. It says that they do respond to the neuroleptic drugs, though, in a normal way. So that's good to know that even though having the schizophrenia with the microdeletion, they do respond well still to the medication, even with the small head issue. And they have reports of mood swings, but, you know, they referred to them in Gypsy's case as tantrums or whatever that she was having, but that very well could be also why she was having them and being because of the slight schizophrenia symptoms that she was experiencing. Because if you think about it, she had every other freaking symptom. Why wouldn't she have the mental health issues that it would cause? Now, this next page here, we're going to focus on just the highlighted parts. And one is that her son went through puberty late. And do you think that Gypsy Rose probably went through puberty late, being that, you know, well up into a big age, she was wearing diapers and shit like that? It possibly still is, because there's a picture that shows her, it looks like she's in a diaper. And by 23, were the hormones in Gypsy Rose still kind of raging? Then she like started becoming a dick-loving asshole, and that's when she lost the damn mind. I mean, it states that he's only interested. Now, this is about this woman's son, okay? I'm just comparing the two. It states that he's only interested in things that are pertaining to him, like are about him or to him or whatever. Well, we all know how Gypsy Rose is. Everything's got to be about her, too. Again, thinking about the thirst trap video after she has a baby, instead of, you don't even have to show your baby to say that you're happy to be entering motherhood. You just sit down and talk to the camera about it. But, you know, I guess we got to do thirst traps about our postpartum flabby belly tits. And then it says, he will push you to your limit and then laugh about it as if it's funny, where God only knows that Gypsy does that too to many of us creators alone. I can't imagine what she does to the people in her life. He lie and steal to get what he wants. What does she do? Lying is her number one go-to to get what she wants. Manipulation is her number two. Actually, they probably are number one together. And then this part here, he's claimed that she was controlling and abusive to him because she wanted him to do chores. Now, that's exactly what Gypsy Rose has done to her own mother with blame everything on my mother and say my mother's this horrible monster of a person because why? She said you couldn't go have dick. It's so fucking crazy to me. And then also Gypsy had like birds chirping in her ear at all fucking times. So she was like always like ready to react, about stupid shit. And I like how at the end this mother is all understanding and she says he's not working with a full set of chromosomes, so she gives him some grace. I was like, oh, that's really cute. But then at the end, though, it did get to the point where he couldn't even live at the same house anymore and he had to be relocated because him and his sister couldn't be in the same home anymore because he was being very, very violent towards her and it was getting very serious and scary. And that could have been what was going on with Miss Gypsy Rose. Gypsy's upbringing with all of the grifting and spoiling her rotten, on top of having the same behavioral issues and even mental health issues, Now, we also have this from the same Redditor. Now, names and places have been marked off of here, understandably, I suppose. This was written by, and is stated when they talked to Gypsy, she had hated how her mother treated her and that she was not disabled. Only they offered to help us, which means that Gypsy Rose and her mom were trying to help these people get into the same kind of they offered to help us, especially with getting into Habitat for Humanity. So yeah, they were trying to help them get a home built or whatnot. But we did not feel that we were quite within the guidelines to get it. So these people didn't think that they were even able to get it. We denied the help, it says. And then Dee Dee mentioned that we could always claim disability to get the help. And they were like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, just tell them you're on disability and you'll be able to get the help, which is, they could have done that. I mean, they could have qualified or whatever, I believe. I'm not sure but then it's blanked off and are disabled, but we didn't feel is right to play up on those outwardly to most people around us. Dee Dee and Gypsy seemed close and happy. And when it was just us, or just me, when it was just me, Gypsy seemed dark. And it's weird that they say that he says that or she says that, and secretive, and yelled at her mom at one point to the point of even making it uncomfortable and they had to leave. That's crazy. And that just goes to show you just how bad she was getting. It was totally an uncomfortable situation is what they called it. So, I mean, this note just carries a lot of speculation within it on who it was written by and just to know its true legitimacy, you know what I mean? But this is how I found the note. So, I'm not taking the credit for knowing if it's legitimate or not. I'll leave that up to you guys. It's just how I found it. You guys can speculate all you want in the comments or whatever. Do as you do. I just really wonder what Gypsy could possibly yell at Dee Dee for in the first place that would make it so uncomfortable that these people have to leave. They said that Gypsy claims that she was smothered and that she just wanted to live a normal life. Dee Dee trapped her and she thought that she was forever trapped. You know what I mean? Because I believe that Dee Dee was so overprotective. Not so much abusive, but so much hypochondriac and so overprotective of what Gypsy was dealing with health-wise that she wouldn't quite let go of her. And maybe Gypsy Rose thought that death was the only way out. Or it's that she didn't perceive the situation correctly and didn't understand the full capacity of death. I don't know. I mean, Then there was the time that she tried to claim that she didn't even have sleep apnea. Do you remember that? Well, there's a report from the sleep study here that I have that says what her age is and that she had sleep apnea, of course. It says what Dee Dee said to the doctor which was she's doing well. Dee Dee really had Munchausen by proxy. Then she would have said, no, she's not doing well. She would have made the situation seem horrible. You know, it would have been way off balance there. But no, she says, oh, everything's well. You know, I noticed too that it says here on this paperwork that she had anemia in the past. Now, remember when Gypsy's mom had suspected that Gypsy had leukemia? Well, maybe she just is such a hypochondriac, or was such a hypochondriac, and kind of went too far with things. Maybe Gypsy Rose, was being speculated of having it, because if at one point she was anemic, that means that her red cells in her blood are very low and her white cells are very high, which also indicates infection in the body. So if they're just slightly high, then that can indicate an infection. But if they are very high, like in the 100,000s, then that would mean that you have leukemia. And I don't know if maybe she had a high count at one time and they kind of speculated it and then Dee Dee ran with it. Who knows? Because that is a scary kind of thing to hear. Maybe doctors shouldn't quite say anything right away, but they do sometimes. And also your white cells could be super low and you could be speculated to have leukemia. So, I mean, that's not the only way to know. This paper also says that she had frequent urinary tract infections. Now, like I said, I'm no doctor. Like everything else, maybe the doctors mentioned that her blood should be checked for leukemia, because leukemia will cause you to have frequent reoccurring infections, as well as having the high white cell count and the low red cell count, or the vice versa, however it may be. It might have been just a concern, like I said. Her medical records would state that if they had even indicated that they speculated that at any time, they would have put it in the chart somewhere. You know what I mean? It wouldn't just be, oh yeah, she had that test, but we didn't log it. You know, that would be silly. And this paper also states that she had diaper rashes. And also it says that she had significant, now listen to this, significant neurodevelopmental delay. Okay? And I sat there thinking about it, and I'm like, did she go to the doctor putting on a show as if she was slow for that to be the case? Or because of the microdeletion, did the doctor already see her as neurodevelopmentally delayed completely? Maybe it was quite warranted that Dee Dee was applying for the guardianship of Gypsy Rose, and that maybe there were times that Dee Dee embellished things or over-exaggerated, but all in all, I don't believe that Dee Dee was all like straight up. I mean, it's hard to say, really, because I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't. It's all speculation. Now, I mean, if the doctor notices something, he puts it in their paperwork immediately, you know? And the way that it's worded, it says that she has significant neurodevelopmental delay. But one thing she can't fake, though, is the blood work that said she's anemic. So, I mean, we don't have to speculate about that. It does say that she was anemic at one time. I just don't know what her levels were. Do you think, though, that she would be acting in the doctor's office as well to get this diagnosis of having neurodevelopmental delays so that they could keep on with grifting and getting money and getting things and stuff like that? She really determined. But some things, even nowadays, that she does, I think that she's completely developmentally delayed. So, I mean, I believe that she was, and I do believe wholeheartedly that she is still, you know, showing signs of that delay. Now, another thing to point out is that this paper states that, yes, she was enrolled in school, and what school she was enrolled in. So, I mean, keep that in mind. I mean, she says all these different things, and nobody's ever going to figure out the truth, I don't think. You know, and it says that she had, on this paper, it says 5 different surgeries, but I don't know if the surgeries are even accurate, because it says that one of them is a thigh muscle surgery. So I don't know why she would have a thigh muscle surgery, but well, I should check the medical records that are on Reddit to see if it's on there. That paper basically proves that she was in diapers. That's all it was trying to prove. And of course, the whole Nick John fiasco in the bathroom proved that with the diaper thing. So we all know the diaper issue is correct, right? But is she still wearing them? That's the tea we need to know. Do you wear diapers all the time? All the other stuff, if we're over it. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, that's the end of the video for today. Please, leave me a butterfly emoji if you're still here in the comments below, because I want to know if you stayed till the end so I can shout you out in the next video. Oh, I forgot about member shout out because I'm a moron. Sorry, I'm an asshole. So tomorrow, or actually, you know what? I know who's a good member for member shout out today. Objection overruled. Okay? Objection overruled. You are a number one beautiful member of the day, or member of the video, I should say. Member of the video is you. Member of the video is you. Oh, objection overruled. I love you. Yes. Oh, I love you. You overruled my heart, yeah. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay, I gotta get off of here now and go to do some editing. I love you guys. Please like, please comment below if you want to support the channel. Here's my Cash App. Or you can do a super thanks, and I appreciate you so much. I love you all with all my heart and soul and everything. Bye. I love you. Well, get the fuck out of here. Sorry. Don't be mad, okay? Don't be mad. Have love in your heart.